Chapter 2. Punishments. These are my punishments. First, no using the cell phone for the rest of July. This is especially painful because now I can't call Lucy to find out if she's mad at me. Second, reparations to the tree. Reparations are what Dad makes me do to try to fix things. I have to write a letter to the farmer we're renting the house from. I have to pay for a visit from the tree doctor with my own money. And I have to write an apology poem to the tree and actually go outside and read it to the tree. Out loud. O tree, O big fat leafy green tree, I'm really very sorry that I hurt thee. O tree, O giver of oxygen to me, please accept my sincere apology. Third, and most horrifying, no TV for the rest of the summer. None. Not the news, not the PBS station, not even that awful yoga tape, Kundalini Kids. No screen time whatsoever, no matter how educational or boring. Mom says this isn't a punishment, it's a way of helping me. Of course, my mother is one of those anti-TV types. The only show she likes to watch is the Summer Olympics, and that only comes on once every 4 years. We know you've been unhappy up here, sweetheart. It isn't as much fun for you without Lucy, but you haven't given Vermont a fair chance. What's that supposed to mean? Stop wishing for what you can't have. Live where you are. This is the country. You should embrace nature. Dive into that pond. That's easy for her to say. She doesn't have slime growing in her hair. She wouldn't have noticed if she did. Her hair is short and spiky. She likes to dye the gray parts different colors anyway. But my hair is light brown and would reach way past my shoulders if it weren't so curly. I already washed it 6 times, and let me tell you, that green is not going away. What does that disgusting pond have to do with watching TV, I say. TV only provides a temporary diversion. It fills you with sweets so you can't have a healthy hunger for real pleasures that will truly nurture you. I hate it when my mother rambles on like a crazy person. I make the mistake of rolling my eyes. Then she gets mad and says the thing a kid can never argue with. It's for your own good. She snatches the rabbit ear antenna off the top of the TV and takes it upstairs. Clomp, clomp, clomp. The sound of her clogs on the wooden floor is like someone hammering nails into my coffin. I'm stunned. I can't believe she took the antenna. Whatever happened to spanking? Can't you beat me and get it over with? Now I'll be in agony all summer long. I fall to the floor and wail so loud the dog starts barking. Does Mom care? No. I could be oozing blood from an organ that burst when I fell out of the tree, but she doesn't even bother to check. She comes back downstairs without the antenna and picks up the dog to comfort him. That's when I decide I won't suffer alone. I plan out separate tortures for each of them. Ginia gets the cut-ahead treatment whenever she's on her way to the bathroom, and, oh, by the way, there is only one stinking bathroom in the place, unless you want to count the actual, I kid you not, wooden outhouse by the barn. I run and duck in ahead of her. Then she yells, "Mom!" and I say, "Sorry, but I really have to go." Then I run the water in the sink like I'm peeing buckets and roar with silent laughter while she pounds on the door. Dad's punishment is more devious. My parents are both high school art teachers, but Dad especially loves to tell you stuff. Sometimes he talks about something interesting, like how they made the original Disney cartoons. Did you know they had to draw every little flapping wing over and over by hand, since they didn't have any computers? But now, whenever he tells me one of his stories, I just stare at him. When he finishes, I say, "And I needed to know all that because..." Then he gets a hurt look and smooths his beard. That's right, he grew a beard, because it's some kind of Vermont law that all men up here have to have furry faces. Finally, he says, "I guess I thought it was kind of interesting." But the best punishment is for Mom. I start spending all my time staring at the blank TV screen. "What's wrong, Megan?" Mom asks. I don't answer. I just sigh. "Can't you find anything to do?" I sigh again. "Sitting there will only make you more depressed." I shake my head. I'm already as depressed as anyone could be. Then Mom starts in on her list of why don't yous. Why don't you read? Why don't you draw? Why don't you write Lucy a letter? Why don't you walk the dog? Why don't you do yoga? Why don't you explore that hiking trail behind the field? I still don't say anything. Not talking to her is part of her torture. I hear the anger rising in her voice like the water filling up the back of the toilet. Then, swoosh! Out comes a great flushing rush of rage. "Megan, you can't spend the rest of your life like this!" Part of me thinks, sure I can. But another part of me thinks, what if I have to? This lasts for a whole week. Just between you and me, I'm getting pretty sick of it. The only good part is that whenever I stare at the blank TV, I pretend I'm watching home movies of my favorite days with Lucy. We've had so many wonderful days together. There was the day Mrs. T took us to see a Broadway show, and we got to go backstage and meet the star and ride in 3 different taxis. There was the day that Lucy and I made an entire city out of shoeboxes, and then we played like we were giants destroying everything. There was our first sleepover when we pretended we were camping out in Lucy's living room and had s'mores and everything. There was the day that Allison took us to her office on the 52nd floor, and we got to meet an author who was very nice, even though we never heard of the book she wrote. But the most perfect day was 1 year ago, in the summer right after 5th grade. To be honest, there aren't very many happy memories from 6th grade. As a reward for surviving elementary school, Dad took Lucy and me to Coney Island in Brooklyn. First we went to the aquarium. The penguins were cute and everything, but the best part was when I got Lucy laughing by pretending to kiss this big, fat, ugly walrus through the viewing window and calling him my blubber boy. As we started to leave, the walrus followed me. That made Lucy laugh even more. Luckily, the walruses are right by the bathroom because she laughed so much she desperately had to go. Then we went across the boardwalk to the beach. Lucy found 2 lucky quarters when we were making sand creatures. After I didn't find any, no matter how deep a hole I dug, she said I should have the one with the state of Missouri on it because my name starts with M. Lucy always shares like that. We spent so much time making mythological beasts that Dad said we didn't have time for the amusement park. I started getting upset, but Lucy had the brilliant idea of asking Dad what his favorite ride was. He told a long story about taking Mom on the Wonder Wheel. Lucy said he just had to ride it again to keep the memory alive. And you know what? He agreed. But first we had corn dogs for dinner, hot dogs dipped in dough and cooked in a yummy way. Then we all rode the Wonder Wheel. Luckily, Dad sat alone in a car with just his memories. From the top, we had the most incredible view of the ocean and Brooklyn, and everything like it all belonged to us. I was so happy, I said, "Oh, Lucy, the sky is glowing pink from my happiness." But Lucy didn't say, "Duh, the sun is setting," like Ginia would have. Lucy sighed and said, "The world outside and the world inside match." Oh, I really loved that day. I play it over and over again. Then one morning, 8 whole days after I spoke to Lucy and fell out of the tree, Mom and Dad are sitting side by side at the table when I come down for breakfast. "Megan," Dad says, "we give up." "You do?" I say. Mom nods. "My stubbornness has worn them down. They finally realize it's really strength. I try to be cool, but my heart's jumping. Hooray, hooray! Let's get this conversation over with so I can watch something on TV before art time begins. I wouldn't even care if it was Dora the Explorer." "This past week we've waited for you to come to your senses," Dad says, "to do something positive for a change.